You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey there, CBS reality TV fans. We want to talk about Big Brother, about 5 house guests that got canceled after their Big Brother appearances. There's probably a lot more than this, but we've picked out 5 that we'd like to talk about. And if you have other suggestions that you'd like us to cover in a later video, drop them in the comments right there, because we love to hear from our viewers. We like to know what you want us to cover, and we are there for you. If you haven't already, reach down, click that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our Big Brother updates, reality TV updates right here at Soap Dirt on YouTube. The first person we want to talk about is someone from the most recent season of Big Brother. So that's Kyle Capener from BB24. As you know, the live feeds on Big Brother are a source for a lot of the issues. And fans have criticized Big Brother for cleaning up people, basically editing out a lot of racist things, profane things, misogynist things. I mean, the list could go on. If you watch the live feeds, it's like, I don't know if why these people forget there's cameras there when they literally follow them around. You can watch them moving. But a lot of times there are stuff that people who watch the live feeds see and casuals don't. Casuals are people, just for the lingo, who only watch the aired episodes that are heavily edited. If you really, really want to understand Big Brother, watching the live feeds is amazing. It's almost like a whole different TV show. So when they have been criticized over editing out things that people like Kyle Capener and others have said, executive producer Allison Grodner justified it, saying, "We really don't want to put hateful things out there in our edits." I can see that you don't want to have hateful things on your TV show, but it's one thing to edit out things like that. It's another thing to craft an edit where someone who is behaving in a horrible way gets a positive spin. You know, that seems like twice as bad as not showing what they've said and done. Okay. So, with Kyle Capener, he was the TikToker that was slapped with the moniker KK Kyle. So that's 3 Ks if you're not counting Ks on social media by fans. He had mocked Indy Santos' accent. Remember, she's Brazilian. And there were some other, minor incidents, kind of casual racism and misogyny stuff. But the big deal was when he got paranoid and started talking about whether there was an all-black alliance. Of course, he was referring to BB23's top-notch cookout alliance that flew under the radar and took them all the way to the end. But he kept saying things that just came off really racist, and he was exposed, and he didn't want to come out of the diary room. He wanted to quit. I remembered this. But even after all this happened, it haunted him outside the house. He gave a very sincere apology to the Black House guests, who all, without limits, showed him incredible grace. Okay. His BB24 pal, Monty Taylor, was one who was especially kind to him, and they still hang out. They're still pals. And Kyle Capener is still on TikTok, but he is also still canceled in a lot of people's eyes, who still and always will refer to him as KK Kyle. So he was probably the most recent one that got into big trouble. And for those of you who watched what went down on the live feeds, where he got busted for this white alliance suggestion and the paranoia about a black alliance, the versions that made it onto BB24 episodes do not reflect the extent of what he said and did in that house. I will just say that. He got a kind edit. They couldn't ignore it because it had been elevated and was covered in so much media. We covered it here. A lot of places covered it. So, but they still really, really minimized it. I will say that. That's my feeling from having watched it on the live feeds versus the episodes. Now, we want to talk about BB15. There were 3 people that got canceled hard in Big Brother 15. This is like I think the most issues they've had in one season. The first we want to talk about is Gina Marie Zimmerman. She was a pageant coordinator, but was fired while she was still in the Big Brother house. CBS didn't kick her out for what she did, but her job fired her, and she didn't get to find out until she finished playing the game. So just a lot of things. On the live feeds, she referred to welfare as N-word insurance. She used the word. Some sites have said, well, it was hard to hear. She might have ended it with an A instead of ER. And I'm like, that's semantics. She shouldn't have been using that word to start with. So she said that. And when this was brought to the pageant that employed her, they fired her and said they had never seen her engaged, quote, in acts of racism in the past. And they said they are thankful that Big Brother let us see Gina Marie for who she truly is. So she also referred to some of the ousted house guests as robotic biracials, just insane, So she is no longer in the pageant industry, and Gina Marie Zimmerman, after being canceled, she works for herself. She has a company that throws birthday parties for dogs. So still seems kind of similar to putting on the dog for pageants, right? Also in BB15, we've got Aaryn Gries. I can't remember how to pronounce her last name. It's Gries, Gries. At any rate, Aaryn. She was a former model and YouTuber, and while she was still in the Big Brother house, her talent agency dropped her because of her homophobic language. You might remember BB15 because it was won by Andy Herron, who is gay. And she was talking about saying he could win Most Valuable Player because, quote, people love the queers, end quote. And he did end up winning, but not fair that he should have had to put up with this stuff in the house. Aaryn also told Asian house guest Helen Kim to shut up and go make some effing rice. And she was the second of 3 house guests that were fired during BB15. Now, let's get to the last one. This dude, Spencer Clawson. Do you remember Spencer Clawson from BB15? He was the train conductor from maybe Kansas. Maybe I'm remembering the wrong state. But he worked for Union Pacific Railroad, and they were not pleased by his antics in the Big Brother house. When they were confronted with it, I guess, and sent, footage or whatever people send when they're trying to get people canceled. And they said he had been placed on leave, on indefinite leave. And that was while he was still in the house, the Big Brother house. And we'll update you on his job prospects in just a second. So again, with Andy Herron, he called him Kermit and he called him the 3-letter F word. Spencer also talked about how Hitler was this great public speaker, a great orator, and he said that those heinous Nazi science experiments led to amazing medical breakthroughs, but then admitted he would probably get slammed online for saying things like this, yet he still decided to say it. He also liked to call women in the Big Brother house the C word, which, not cool. So the railroad suspended him and said they were talking to the union because he had a union job. Post-show, Union Pacific confirmed that Spencer no longer worked for them. So before we talk about the last person who's from BB9, if you haven't already, reach down and click that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our updates and spoilers on Big Brother and all your favorite reality TV series. Big Brother 9, Adam Jasinski. Okay? He won the game, but he got fired. So how often is that? Usually people that get canceled don't win the game. It has happened a few times. Jackson Mickey won, and he got canceled hard. We didn't talk about him this time because he's a pretty recent wound, and a lot of people are tired of hearing about Jackson. So just feel free to add him in the comments below if that's somebody you want us to talk about more, but we did not choose him for this specific list. But we did put BB9's Adam on the list, and this guy worked at the United Autism Foundation, but the foundation fired him while he was still in the Big Brother house because he referred to autistic children as, quote, retards. And then later, when he was confronted about it, he called it a Freudian slip. While he was in the house and used that terrible word to refer to autistic children, he said because he works with them, he can call them what he wants. And when he was grilled about this in the interviews after he won the season, he said that he made excuses for it, and he had also promised, I think, like 100,000 of his 500,000 winnings to the Autism Foundation. But then in that interview after the season, when he was asked about all this, he seemed to kind of back away from his pledge to donate 100K and said that he was looking into the tax ramifications and then said he would give some of his winnings to charity. So clearly, maybe getting fired in there had him rethinking how much money he was going to give them, which is pretty sad. If you haven't already, click that subscribe button and reach down. Leave us in the comments any Big Brother stuff that you would like us to cover on seasons past, whether it's goats, whether it's people that were the most this or the most that in the house. Let us know. We'd love to hear from you, and we always read your comments.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.